Namaskar, good evening. I think the video which you just saw is one of my favorite video. It is being upgraded every year, and what it shows is that how the world is changing. It shows how the new technologies are taking over and disrupting and making our life more enriched. Today we are entering what I will call a space age where most of the technologies which are being developed or which are being valued are using the space, the iCloud facilities to spread their message to the customers. If you look at the valuation of these companies, they are much, much higher than any of the companies in the history of industry in the last 100 years. Just to take example of Tata Group, the software company TCS, today is valued more than twice than the value of the whole Tata Group. That means if you take the whole Tata Group valuation, 66% of that valuation comes from one company, which is a software company. You have seen the Apple is today becoming the first 1 trillion company in the world. And the reason is that they have changed and brought in the hands of people their whole life. You can today do business anywhere in the world. You don't require people to know which country you are doing it from. You have a number by which you can do WhatsApp. You don't even need email nowadays. And that way, you are well connected with the world. So, in this new world which is being created, which is, we are very fortunate to be there, and I've been a technology person all my life, I feel that there is a need to, as a society, as a community, to come together. When the technology has moved beyond boundaries, when the technology has brought the whole world together, and it does not matter whether you are in which part of the world, we all use these gadgets and these softwares. And that's why it is important that the old traditions which we have been having in our lives, which has been passed to us over centuries. I have 3 children, I have 5 grandchildren. And I find that it is very unfair in today's world to let them live a life which is based on these old ethos, which is based on these certain things which are outdated in today's world. But some of the philosophies which are there are not outdated. The implementation, the practices, and the other things may be outdated, but not the basic philosophy which some of the thought leaders in the past have found for us. That's why we formed this Global Citizen Forum in the year 2012. The idea came in 2011 when I was in New York, and we were wondering what's going to happen in the coming years. And it was felt that if we want to change the society, we have to draw a bigger line. We have to go beyond gender, beyond religion, beyond nationality, because these are the three things which affects us. These are the three things which we are bound by. So when you are born as a child, and all of you are fathers or mothers, you know that a child does not know his gender. It is only after he start walking and he start talking that he is told that he is a female or a male. The same way, he does not have a religion. The religion comes to him through the parents or the people he interact with, and he is asked to be very nationalistic as he goes to the schools and colleges where he is taught that his nation is the best. And these things are good to be taught, but they bring conflict when he goes to the outer world. As you are here in London, you realize that you are interacting with people of all genders, religions, and nationalities. And you find that it's not that you are the smartest of the lot. You may be doctors, you may be engineers, you may be businessmen, any field you may choose. You may find that the people of other religions, the other nationalities, are, as smart as you are, if not smarter. And that's why people are more and more realizing that there's a conflict. There's a conflict when you are raised as a child, and there's a conflict which you see in the society you live, especially people who live in different nations in a different environment. So I think that conflict, which is there, is has to be seen in a way to find solutions towards that, and that's where I think we are talking about that global citizen. So global citizen, when we say, it is basically does not take away your gender, religion, or nationality, but what it says is that you have to be beyond that. As a human being, you have to realize, and I have some doctors here on the audience, that as a human body, there is no difference between man and woman except for a few parts. Whether it's the heart or brain or many, many things, there is no difference. And the same doctors with the same knowledge operate on both sides, the man or the woman. People also know that the science which we talked about and the business and the way the things are done, again, there is no religion involved in this. The religion is not involved. The science itself is something which is truth, which cannot be denied. And I think that's where we are very lucky that in India, it is said that we have philosophies which are scientific. We have philosophies which are not based on dogmas. And that's why India has been having this dialogue society where people were able to dialogue with each other and see what makes sense, what does not make sense. And what makes sense is something which was accepted. And this is where the great leaders from India, and I will start from Buddha. I think Buddha, when he was born in to the parents who were kings. And as a king, they were always taught to fight. He was from a Kshatriya Parivar, as they call it. And the whole thing at that time was the fight. Fighting was something considered good. If you are a good king, you are supposed to fight and make wars and expand your kingdom. He realized that that is not the right way to go. He departed from the normal norms and started looking for himself solutions to bring the peace in the society, how to bring the basis of nonviolence, equality, and humanity. So he was the one who became famous now, and we all know Buddha today. I made a serial on it. It was done after 25 years of research. And when I was researching about Buddha, I met a lot of Buddhist leaders and Hindu leaders. And I realized that within Buddhism also there are many sects. And our purpose when making Buddha was that how do we make Buddha which is accepted to everybody, whether it's Mahayana or Hinayan or various other sects were there. And I think the best advice came from Dalai Lama, who said, don't follow the Tibetan story, of Buddha. You go back to the Nalanda University and go to the literature, because in Nalanda, where Buddha was taught, it was taught keeping in mind what Buddha said in his life. And as the serial was, we had to go back to the Buddha's life. And today, that serial, I must say, I'm very happy about it, is accepted all over the world, including countries like Sri Lanka, Thailand, uh, you know, Tibet, all these countries which are Theravada and also Mahayana, like China and Korea, Japan, and these countries. So this philosophy came from India. This is the philosophy which came from, and we can all be very proud Indians for saying that we have that heritage. But heritage does not mean that it was not an evolving heritage, and that's why today you will see we are making another film, serial, on the life of Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya is the one who changed, and I think is being seen as the founder of the modern India. Because Adi Shankaracharya, when he came at a very young age, he was able to unite the various Hindu sects, whether they were worshipping any gods, including Vaishnav, Shaiv, people who used to Devi, Bhakta, all kinds of sects, including Buddhist. And why he was able to do that? That he came with a new philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. Now, this whole fight in the world, which is there, is because of God, defining God. Everybody has a different God, and everybody worships a different God. And because you worship a different God, you think your God is the best. Or even if you're not worshipping any God, you think all people who worship God do not realize that there is no God. So both ways, whether you are atheist or you are, believer in Christianity, Muslim, or whatever, you believe in God. And today, if you see a country like US has put in their dollar note, "In God we trust." Now, when you say "In God we trust," what does it mean? That means you believe in God. But another country on the other side, China, which are communist. They said we don't believe in God. For us, the state is the supreme, and everybody should serve the state. So there are two extreme nations living on other side of India. One who is a great believer in God, and another is not a believer in God. So what did Adi Shankaracharya do? Adi Shankaracharya, when he got into debate with people, because Buddha never defined God. Buddha remained silent at the time of when people asked, "Do you believe in God? Do you don't believe in God?" He said, "This question is not relevant. Whether I believe or I don't believe, what I believe is in the humanity. And as such, I'm not going to answer this question." But Adi Shankaracharya realized that without believing in something is very difficult. You leave a gap. And when you leave a gap, other people come in and start defining what God is. So he came with a definition of God. And he came that the definition was that everything is manifestation of God. Whatever we see, whatever the God inside you, outside you, in you, all of you, everything, universe, everything. At the end of my presentation, I'll show you a video which shows how the universe is connected to human beings. And there's nothing like better to show your point through the videos, which is much easier for you to see which is there. So Adi Shankaracharya came with this philosophy of Advaita, and when he talked about this, people realized that what he thinks is right, and he was able to unite the whole India. And first time the Indians got united, and the Hindus all over, even Buddhists, even Jains, everybody accepted him, and he became a Jagat Guru because nobody else, even Buddha was never called Jagat Guru, but Adi Shankaracharya, became known as Jagat Guru, and his story is so fascinating because I've been doing research on it for last 20 years now, maybe 25 years. We started Buddha and it really same time. But Adi Shankaracharya's story is very, very fascinating. That how he came with this philosophy of Advaita. But what is more fascinating is that now the science, with the much later, came with this, formula Einstein between the energy and the mass, E equal to mc square, and they realized the relationship between energy and mass, and they said everything started from energy, and whatever universe is created, the mass is through that energy, and that energy could be the source of God. So everything is manifestation of God is something which is very, very scientific. And as it is very scientific, people are realizing that from where this philosophy came, and that's why people said India could be a Vishguru. When we talk of India as Vishguru, we talk of Jagat Guru Shankaracharya because there are many, many sects in India, but Jagat Guru is only one. And that's why Adi Shankaracharya means the first, the Adi. The, no. because there are many Shankaracharyas which are there. And I think that's the main thing which is scientific as well as this thing which is there. That's why Adi Shankaracharya become very, very important. And one of the things we thought in Global Citizen is that when we talk of Advait, it is beyond gender. Everything is manifestation, that woman, man, it doesn't matter. It is beyond religion because if you look at Hinduism, it's also Dvait. Because in Hinduism, most of people worship God. As soon as you worship God in temple, it's Dvait. You and the God is two different things. Same thing with Christianity, same thing with Muslims, same thing with all the religions, where you differentiate that I am different, God is different. But when we bring this difference out between God and us, then it becomes Advait. And that is a line which is above religions, which is not any religion. And even in India, after Adi Shankaracharya, there was a movement to come back to Dvait. There was a bhakti movement. Because people said that, oh, how can we explain this to our children? How do we go there? But today we are in a knowledge age. Today we are in a different world. Today our children learn about universe at the age of 7 or 8. They know how sun is formed. Those days it was difficult to apprehend. So you need this, something to worship, something to do. But in today's age, when children or the young people, I won't call them children, the young human beings are very, very knowledgeable. Because with the help of new tools, the Google, the Facebook, all the things on your hand, they don't need to ask any guru. Everything is with them. And in this today's world, I think suddenly people are realizing that there is something India has to offer. I travel all over the world and I have been doing business all over the world. And suddenly people are saying, is there somebody, some country where there is a hope to bring peace in the world? I think we will all agree that the way the US is moving and has moved in the past, they follow what the British did in the past. They try to create one world by ruling the world and with creating the fear in the world. The army was the basis of creating and letting people know what they believe in and make other people believe in that. The same thing is happening with US today. The US today is advocating. They have become the biggest evangelist in terms of spreading their philosophy, not only about Christianity, but also democracy, about human rights, about various things which they think is their view is the right. But then there is a challenger. The challenger is becoming equally strong, which is China. China today has moved away from gender philosophy. They had a one-child policy. And today in China, if you go, there are a lot of women who has gone to the top post because for the parents, there was only one child. So there was no choice between boy and the girl. There was no gender choice. So the whole generation of China today is beyond gender. The whole generation of China today is beyond religion. But they are not beyond nation. They are very nationalistic. They have come with the philosophy of one China. Last month, China came with the philosophy that Chinese, wherever in the world they may be living, they are protected by China. So I live in Singapore. Singapore has 75% people who are Chinese. So what few of my friends who are not happy with the government of Singapore said that we don't recognize Singapore. We are protected by China. And as we are protected by China, we don't have to worry about Singapore government. And Chinese embassy has been told that these all people should be protected if there is anything unfair done to them, which is there. So there is a new wave China is trying to do. China is becoming, a different country. They have declared that they will not allow anybody to bully any small nation. And you see the effect of that, which is happening in North Korea, South Korea, which is happening in Israel, which is happening in Iran, all over the world. China is putting its foot in. And I think US has realized that they have to deal with China. There is no other way. They cannot overrule China. They cannot, say that China is they can push it aside. China is too big for US to do anything. More than that, they are a strong economic power. But whether China can be a global leader, does China has a global policy which will be accepted by nations? Does America has a global policy which will be accepted in nations? So last year, I was called by the government of Singapore, some of the thinkers, and they said, why India is so quiet? Every small nation today is looking towards India to become a global leader. They say, why India is not asserting itself? So I asked this question to Prime Minister Modi, and he said, why India is not asserting? Small nations want to know, Singapore want to know. And he said, look, we want to be Vishguru. I have said that from day one. In fact, Narendra Modi, the first speech in Parliament and the first speech in, not Parliament, the first speech in United Nations, the first speech on the Red Fort, started by that my job is to make Bharat Vishguru. That was his first dialogue, which was there. But he said, other people have to accept us. India cannot say that we will lead if the other countries are not accepting it. And I think Singapore was the first country where we had a program last year from 9th August, which was the National Day of Singapore, to 15th August, an 8 days program. It was called New India, the Emerging Global Leader. So I think there is a need today for India to emerge as a global leader. But is India going to become a global leader on the basis of what? Because basis of nationality, basis of religion, basis of gender, how it will become a global leader? What are they to offer to the world? And I think the government, the Prime Minister Modi found an answer through yoga. The yoga was the first thing which brought to United Nations. Now the thing about yoga is it's also Advaita. The mind and body is one. That is what yoga is all about. And if you look at the history of Adi Shankaracharya, we will be showing that in our serial. Adi Shankaracharya's lineage of gurus also had Pitanjali. So it is the same lineage of which started yoga also came, and naturally Adi Shankaracharya brought it forward, but it's the same lineage which is there. So it will all part of the serial which will be shown. So yoga and Advaita, these are the philosophies which India can propagate, and these are something which nobody can have any objection. Because how can anybody accept an object if we are talking of everything is manifestation of God? Even people who are believing in God believes that their God has created the world, created the universe, and everything has been created by their God. Whether it's Christians or whether it's Muslim or whether it's Hindus, who worship gods. So they all believe that there is one God who has created, but that God belongs to them. That is the only difference. But if you go for Advait, in which there is no God separate and everything is manifestation of God, then this is something, a philosophy which will make India Vishnu. This is a philosophy which will take India forward, which will bring Hindus together. I did a Dharam Prasar Yatra in 2001-3. We were in UK also. Nearly 45,000 people we have in 4,500 people in this Hare Rama Hare Krishna place. And we realized that there's so much sects among the people here, among the Hindus also. There's no harm having your sect, but Advaita goes beyond that. Like there's no harm having your nationality. We are all proud Indians, or I'm now a Singapore citizen, but maybe UK citizen. But we all are proud of our nationality. But there's no harm, going beyond that and becoming a global citizen. And the same way, there's no harm being proud to be a woman or a man, but you can go beyond that. So a bigger line needs to be drawn, and that is the purpose with which I have started this movement. This movement has been going now for nearly 6 years. It has done many programs, more than 70 programs world over, including China, US, everywhere. But I think The time has come to, as they say, up the ante, take it to a bigger level, make it a bigger force, and make it something which we can all accept. So I'm here to plead to all of you to become members of Global Citizens. We have a forum. Just by your telephone number, you will get through WhatsApp, you will get a daily newsletter. So this newsletter basically talks about what's the things which you miss sometime, what are the big things you miss. Because there are things which are changing the world. And these are mainly coming from China, US, India, and technology. So you should not miss these new things which are happening in the world. As you must have, as you saw this, do you know? Maybe some of those things you knew, but some of the things you may not knew. And I think as a knowledgeable people, you should know everything, or you should try to know everything, and you should update yourself what's happening in the world on a daily basis. And we try to do that through this forum, and that is the purpose we are here. I will end my, speech, but before that, if there is no religion, there is no gender, then there is no nationality. Then what is it? As human being, what should be our desire? What we should be living by? And I think that's why we call that you. The main thing, what every religion tells you, is to be happy. So happiness is number one, but you can be happy if you are healthy. So health is also number one. So happy, healthy, and also if you want to live in the world, you have to be wealthy. So my message to people, which is not religious message, is to be happy, healthy, wealthy, but beyond 100. I think the technology allows you to live beyond 100. So I wish all of you start living, or at least start believing in it, believing in yourself, that you can be happy, healthy, wealthy beyond 100. I have started it, and I'm sure that if you start thinking about it, you will be able to achieve this. Thank you very much.
So, sir would